It has a coach who is fascinating. It's got a fan base that's been dire and loyal to a fault for a long, long time. And they ended the year on a high note. I think the NFL said, look, the Lions are hot right now, and let's take shots on them early because they might not be good this year, but that's a great fan base, the Lions fan base. I mean, they're going to go gaga all offseason about being the opener. Nobody in America would say today, I don't want to see the Lions because of the way that they ended last season. They put their stamp on the Packers. They ended Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Everybody nationally is like, oh, the Lions could be interesting. So there's no downside of putting them in week one because even if they begin the season 1-5, for week one, they're interesting. You know, it's a lot like how they want to put the Giants and Bears in prime time in September. They want to get them in those big slots before those seasons could probably go sideways.
You're absolutely right. By the way, those are the only two times the division opponent happened versus Super Bowl winner. Then you had the year the Super Bowl winner didn't open the 100th anniversary. The Packers played the Bears, was also a division game.
Right. I think that the Lions are interesting enough to open up the season. And that is a Dan Campbell championship in itself. I mean, that the Lions didn't make the playoffs last year, but they are interesting enough to play the Chiefs. And who wouldn't want to see that? Those two offenses going after one another. Dan Campbell going crazy on the sideline, the way that the Lions ended last season. So I don't know if things are going to change permanently in Detroit. I hope that they do. As you know, I always have a soft spot for lifelong tortured sports fans and franchises. I would love to see the Lions become good again. Barry Sanders is one of my favorite players of all time. He was even greater when I got to meet him. They say never meet your heroes. I met him, and I was even more impressed with him. I loved him even more. He was that gentlemanly. He was more than a gentleman's mop. He was like a great human being. I think this is great. I saw this and said, no way. They did that? And then I thought, this is great. This is awesome. I love this. And how beautiful is it, Mraz, that now we get an opener with the Lions and don't have to shrug like, oh, God, and we don't have a Thanksgiving, hopefully, where we have to go, oh, God, the Lions are on. Hopefully in November, they're still in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can only think of certain fans 2 years ago who might have taken all their Lions stuff and dumped it off for donation because they were no longer going to be fans. And here we are 2 years later, and the team is interesting and good enough to be marquee featured in the season opener and maybe playing the most interesting Thanksgiving game of all. You feel good for the real fans that didn't donate pint glasses and shirts and scarves there and said, I'm done with this team forever. Those fans don't deserve to enjoy the opener.
2 years ago, if you happen to be a lifelong Lions fan, born and raised in Michigan, and were so frustrated by your team that you took all of your Lions gear and dumped it into a recycling bin and took video of it and sent it to this show. 2 years later, this is the issue. You can't jump back on.
That's a shame.
You can't jump back on. You got to give it up.
Oh, well.
Got to give it up.
That's why you stay true.
Got to give it up.